Good morning to all. Welcome to my channel. Earlier date in my other video, we have made it this standard costing and variance analysis. All this theoretical part, what is standard costing and how this variance analysis is there, it has been given to these things. That has been given to my description box of this channel. So you can see this thing, the basics. Today we will be discussing the variance analysis. So that is the applications of standard costing. You see, basic things of standard costing is to understand the efficiency or inefficiencies. You know that standard means your quality. It is your benchmark. So on that benchmark you have to compare with your actuals. See, standard costing will never be complete unless and until you standard ka sath if you do not compare with the your actuals. So here we are to in three parts we will discussing for these things. In our cost of productions part, three components are there: material, labor and overhead. Three components, different types of variances will be there in different stages. Today we will be discussing material variance. So material is the major component of any of your productions. More than 60 to 70% of your cost will be from material only. So now we take an example for that. This is the standard for 20,000 kg. Three components are there. One is A is the item 10,000, whose rate is 25 and 2,50,000. Then your B is equal to 7,000, rate is 45, this is the amount. C is another item 5,000, this is the thing. So actual for this 20,000 kg, A equal to 11,000 components, B 7,500, C 4,500. So total together is the actual this much thing and actual amount is this much figure, because this is the quantity, this is the amount. So now we are how to calculate for this thing variance analysis. We will go for this thing. So calculations of variances. So first under material cost variance you have to make it material cost variance. You understand that we are making the material cost variance. So what is the formula for that material cost variance? First, standard cost for actual output minus actual output. So material cost variance, standard cost for actual output, how much? Standard cost for actual output is equal to your standard cost for actual output is your 8,40,000 and actual output is your 8,83,000. So you see that difference is your minus, that means your standard cost and actual output standard ka sath it is higher side, then it is unfavorable, negative. Matlab in our cost standard costing system, in case of any unfavorable variances, we can take it as an adverse. ADVR, adverse. Adverse means A. This is the material cost variance. Again we are repeating, standard cost for actual output, this is 8,40,000 and actual output is 8,83,000. So we have to compare with standard ka sath actual output, standard cost. So standard cost is actual cost is more than this thing. So then that will be the your adverse figures will come. So now it will coming this thing material price variances. So when this term itself, here cost, there we have taken cost, here price variance means individual component wise you have to take the cost. So first component is 25 is your standard and your actual you will be 23. So difference will be your this thing. So your rate is there 25 minus 23. So your equal to standard price minus actual price. This will be your favorable equal to actual quantity we are multiplying. So that's why it will be favorable. So next it is coming the component B. Your 45 is your this standard and your actual is 48. So here you see that your actual price is more than your standard, so definitely the figure will be adverse only. You see that figure will be adverse. Similarly, see also your actual standard is 55, actual is 60. So when your price respect, if it is your price is more than your actual standard के साथ your actual price is more, then always it will be your variance will be adverse. So three components you have to take net. So your two components adverse equal to your 45,000 and one favorable is 22,000. The net of 23,000 your adverse. So this is your this thing material price variance. So in variance analysis, just you have to keep the formula in your mind. So under material cost variance, material cost variance and material price variance we have discussed under material. So another variances we will be explaining here. So now you see that next is your material usage variances. Material usage variances, what is the formula for that? Standard quantity minus actual quantity into standard price. So A equal to your 10,000, your these things 10,000 minus 11,000 into standard price, how much? Your 25 rupees your standard price. So your figure will be your 25,000. 25,000. So whether it will be favorable or adverse, you see that actual quantity standard in comparison to standard, actual quantity if it is more. So once your costing purposes your actual quantity is more, then this figure definitely it will be adverse only. Then B component, you see that your 7,000 will be your standard quantity and actual quantity will be your 7,500 into your rate, standard rate you are equal to 45. Here also this figure is coming 22,500. Here also similarly you see that your standard quantity is less than actual quantity. So whenever your production purpose actual quantity is more, then definitely this is also an adverse. Number C component, your standard quantity equal to your 5,000, actual quantity your 4,500 into standard price your 55. So here figure is coming your 27,500. So you can see that whether it is favorable or adverse, you see comparison. Your standard quantity is 5,000, actual quantity is this thing. So your efficiency is there, actual quantity you have required less. So this figure will be favorable. This net of this thing 45,000 minus 27,000 these things 27,500. So your 20,000 will be your two adverse, right? So this will be the material usage variance. So again we are repeating that material usage variance, always you have to standard quantity with actual quantity, difference of the rate into standard price. So you have to take this variance for that. Now you come to these things for your material yield variance. Material yield variance. So what is the formula for that material yield variance? Standard quantity minus revised standard quantity into standard price. This formula simply. Then A component you will be your 10,000 minus, you see here first of all we have to revise standard quantity. For component wise you have to find it for that. A equal to 10,000 your standard quantity by your this total standard quantity. You see that 10,000 by 22,000 into 23,000 total actual quantity. So this will be the revised standard quantity. It will be your 10,454.54. B equal to your similar way 7,000 by 22,000 into 23,000 equal to your 7318.18, and C equal to will be your 5,000 by 22,000 into 23,000. This figure will be your 5227.27. So you see that revised standard quantity formula is your component wise your standard quantity by total standard quantity into total actual quantity. That you have to keep in mind, total actual quantity. So this is the thing. So revised standard quantity equal to standard quantity by total standard quantity into total actual quantity. So now formula wise you have to go for that. This is the thing, your first component is your 10,000 minus 10,454.54 into standard price equal to your this 25, that is you will be your 11,365. So standard quantity and revised standard quantity, it is higher side. So definitely revised standard quantity, if it is higher side, then your figure will be your adverse 0.5, it will be your adverse. Similarly, B component will be your 7,000 minus 7318.18 into this 45 your standard price. So this figure will be 14318.1. Similarly, where your revised standard quantity is more than standard quantity, it will be, result will be your adverse. C equal to similarly where 5,000 minus your 5227.27 into standard price your into 55. Here also your standard quantity is, revised standard quantity is more, so this figure also is 12,500. This will be also 14,318, 12,500. This will be adverse. So these, all these three figures are adverse. So total 38,181.6 you will do adverse. So you see that you're under the standard costing concept. You see we have done this thing, three types of analysis. One is your material cost variance, that formula is there, and then your material price variance. Simply you have to keep it the memory for this thing. Similarly, material usage variance and material yield variance. So one example के साथ we have explained this thing. Just you have to memorize this thing, your all these formulas, and you have to calculate. And when you will calculate that, you have to very careful about your revised standard quantity. So revised standard quantity, why standard quantity, sir? When you variance, always you see that if your revised standard quantity is higher than standard quantity, then definitely that figure will come to an adverse. So today हमने जो material variance we have discussed for this component, and my next video one by one I will come for your labor variance and your overhead variance. So आज के लिए हमने इधर इतना ही कर रहा हूँ. सपोज ये मेरे चैनल आपको अच्छा लगा, इफ यू थिंक दैट जे सम मटेरियल इज देयर, please do subscribe to my channel so that future may whatever video will come, that link will come to you. So you see that this thing, whatever this we have explained, we will be coming for these things, and my earlier two whatever this theoretical part I have given to my link in my this thing, you can see this thing. So आज के लिए इतना तक, we are ending our video. Have a